Hello, I am Dustin Miller, and welcome to the Now Page update for August 2026. So, when I make these videos, it's just explaining what's going on personally and professionally in my life, and this is just kind of like a public journal, if you will. I mean, even my monthly notes that I do are partially Now Page updates, and then I have like a personal one above that, and I think that that's something that's really interesting where I can share with the world what I'm trying to accomplish and what I'm working on and what happened in the last month. And not only is that valuable to people who are just curious about my life and maybe potentially down the line my family and kids and descendants, but on top of that, I have a lot of things that I've been dealing with and I can't always talk about it. I have made a couple of videos about it recently. And if you've seen this channel at all, you know what I'm talking about. And that's the data loss situation. And I'll explain that. But also there's this interesting context where like if I want to do a yearly note or even just quarterly note, let alone decade note, meaning keeping track of those different abstract layers of time in my life, you need to have some sort of context, and human memory is not very viable. So having these blogs and vlogs that I make every month, it's a good ratio. Every month is a good amount of time where the memory has not fully left your brain yet. But on top of that, it is still enough time to where you can talk about a decent amount of stuff. If you do it weekly, it's a little much, and daily is like just for the sake of posterity or something like that, whatever the word is. So just trying to get enough content out there. So, I mean, I have things like this computer here that I've been working on. I have my eGPU and various different electronics that I'm working with, but there is just a matter of not enough power and not enough RAM and storage, which is definitely the worst three things I could be needing right now in this economy. And I found myself acquiring media for my Jellyfin server, doing things like downloading all of my images and videos off of Google Photos, putting them into a folder structure, and then I'm going to put that into my image app, IMMICH, which is the alternative to Google Photos or Apple Photos, and I deleted everything off of Google Photos. I still have too much data on my Google Drive to turn off Google One subscription, but I'm working on basically depleting that. And I somehow have 30 gigs free on Microsoft, which I think is because I had Windows Phone back in the day. And they just never changed it. I'm kind of upset because I've had more Pixels than I've had Windows phones, and yet Google doesn't want to give me a free subscription. Okay, I see how it is. I did have that Pixel 1 unlimited Google Photos thing, though, at one point. But what I wanted to talk about today was some of the things I've been dealing with. So, small things where I had traded my nice keyboard and my medium keyboard kind of died on me because I spilled coffee on it and it works. It just needs to be relubed and it's not really that good. So I've been using like this crappy little Bluetooth keyboard. So changes like that have been really interesting. But then conversely, I have a new computer. Let me see if I can stabilize this. No, okay. I have a new computer that I'm going to be moving to. And on here, I put Linux. And because of that, it has a nice keyboard, nice screen, nice, aluminum chassis kind of thing. And I'm excited about that. I'm actually, for the first time in my life, excited to go to a laptop again since I was 15, 16 years old. I never really used the laptop on it as a daily driver since then, but this is 14 inches, it's metal, it's pretty powerful, it's more powerful than the desktop I'm using, and I found a really cool Linux distro that allows me to be more productive and actually have a modern, futuristic interface. And I shared a picture of it on my Instagram, you can go check that out. But the interface is see-through, it's transparent, like almost like Windows Vista kind of thing, but it's efficient, it's fast, it's actually probably faster than Windows, even with all these visual effects. And what it is CachyOS, which the first time I used Cachy, it actually crashed out on me so bad I couldn't use that install. I had to basically start over. And I put Cachy on there and I put Neri, which is a tiling window manager. And if I just lost half of you with that, I'll explain in just a second. But because of that, it's an alternative to Hyperland, which is the thing I was trying. I even tried 6 different distros and different attempts to get Hyperland to work. Whereas Neri, I put it on this mini PC as a test bench. It worked out of the box. It worked so well, even on this crappy, slow PC. I might even just keep it on there because it's so good that I realized it was perfect for the laptop because the laptop is faster. It's actually limited screen space because it's a laptop. And so having a tiling window manager, again, I'll explain in a second, will allow me to make use of that screen much more effectively. Now, when you're using Mac or Windows, you have these different windows you're using. But it's basically resizable, right? They're kind of like they'll expand to the screen, they'll expand to half the screen, that kind of thing. But the way you control them is mainly mouse oriented, and it's not always the most effective. It doesn't always do what you want to do. Windows multi-window, I guess you could say, feature is really lacking, and I never really experienced that as a positive throughout my entire 20 years of using Windows. And so I just think that like people try to be productive on these different operating systems, even like Mac OS, and it's not even that good, like the Windows operations, basically. Whereas on Linux, there are certain versions of Linux that allow you to have a scrolling way of controlling those windows. You can use your keyboard shortcuts. So instead of having to use mouse, you can use a much more quicker interface to control these windows. Sure, you have to remember the hotkeys, and I'm still learning them myself, but it allows you to basically, within a couple milliseconds, change it from minimized, or not minimized, but small to full screen to scroll over to the next window, over, go back to that one. And then you work with workspaces, which all three operating systems use. A lot of people don't even realize that Windows has it, and that we could have multiple desktops. And with these workspaces, it's kind of like a mix. It's not fully a different desktop, but it is a different desktop on this Linux. But basically, I can have my Obsidian take up a full screen, my web browser take up a full screen, and I can switch between them without having to worry about minimizing this, maximizing that. And then I can have a blank workspace up top to start off with. And what's really interesting is I can have them spawn on startup. So as soon as I turn on the computer, Obsidian's loading, the web browser's loading. I chose Vivaldi, which is already really efficient and better than most of the other browsers too, and more private. So I'm making a switch back to that one. I haven't used it in 10 years. Really, I tried it, but I never used it since I was a teenager. And so I'm excited about that. And they both have a transparent interface too to match the background. It's super cool. I'll make a video about it at some point when I feel ready. But that is something I've been working on to make myself more productive. Now, the only reason why I'm still on my Windows PC right now, despite the fact OBS is on Linux too, is I want to get used to video editing first. Like I just can't leave Windows just yet until I'm comfortable on DaVinci on Linux. So I've never used it. I've used other video editors on both systems, but not DaVinci on Linux yet. And so that is something I've been working on. And I've also been applying to a lot of jobs. I applied to like 6 just this morning. And that allowed me to at least try to make an attempt at just trying to find another source of income. It's been frustrating because I haven't been able to find an alternative source for a long time now, and I can't seem to get any luck on that. I had a couple interviews these last couple weeks, and nothing happened to those. And it doesn't matter how many you apply to, you barely ever get response in the first place. I've had some issues with the conferences too, and just like the plane tickets to that, and the speaking applications too. I got told I'm not speaking at VidSummit this year, and I was very confident that I was at least going to get one of the small stages or something like that around the corner. No. And so I'm a little perturbed about that, or irked. And despite the fact I'm still going to be going to the conference and I'm still going to have a great time, it's making me feel a little bit negative. And I know that I am a smaller creator, and that is why I wasn't chosen. I know that's the reason. And I know that there's a limited amount of space for speakers, but my creator equation that I talk about on my other channel is very helpful to a lot of creators, pretty much all creators of all sizes. And people don't know how to quantify their leveling up as a content creator, which is why I wanted to create some speaking engagements for this topic, more than just taking videos and podcasts and blogs. So, and I had an issue with the podcast movement speaking website where my stuff just wasn't there for like the first week. I looked for my speaking topics and they weren't there. And then the support team was like, no, they're there. And they were after they sent that email, but they weren't before they sent the email. So either they fixed it and just tried to cover their butt. I don't think they're not nefarious, but it's just like it wasn't there before. And then they're trying to say it was. And because it wasn't there for the first week, I didn't get enough votes in the front half of the thing, even though I was one of the earliest people to apply and put my speaking topics up for vote. I got buried under everyone else that was there before me. And so that was something that was very frustrating. And so now I'm probably not speaking there either. And I don't even know if I'm going to be able to get a free ticket to that one or not. So we'll see. So I hope I get to go to Podcast Movement, but there's a chance I might not be able to, let alone afford it, because it's already hard enough to do VidSummit. So there is that situation, and I'm going to try to figure that out. When it comes to personal life, I was actually pretty glum this last week because a friend of mine moved back to their country, and that just hit me hard because, first off, we had gotten close. It was a good friend, and I wanted to talk with that person more and hang out with that person more. But then also too, it kind of triggered me in the sense where I've had this situation happen a lot of times before, where a friend of mine I'd make a new friend or potentially someone to date, and then they would leave and they would just move away. And that's just part of the city that I'm in, being a college town after all. And a lot of these people were like PhD or master's people too, so they finish their degree and leave. So I was just dealing with that. The last topic I'll end this on, and I made a whole video about it on this channel, and I think I even cross-posted it to the other channels, is my data loss situation. So I was trying to install SteamOS on my Legion Go, and I was trying to put it on the flash drive. The situation was, for some reason, out of all the operating systems I've done, like I have like 5 different drives here full of OSs. I know I can use Ventoy, but I don't want to. But I have all these operating systems. I'm used to doing this. But out of all the operating systems I've ever downloaded, I never had an issue with the download ever just like stopping. And for some reason, SteamOS would stop at 99% and then just stay there forever, how long. And as it turns out, I needed to just wait and be patient. It took like 10 minutes for it to finish, which is weird because it's only like 3 gigs. But it basically got to 99% and it was trying to decompress or depack or whatever the term would be. That's what Google was telling me when I was asking about it. Because what happened was I stopped it at 99% because I was like, okay, something's weird happening. And then I installed that because I figured it was done and just being weird on the browser. And I installed that onto the flash drive. And on the flash drive, I put that on the Legion Go and it failed. Of course, because it didn't hit that last 1%. So I tried again, but since I had that failed install on the flash drive, I'm like, I'm going to wipe the flash drive first to make sure it's clean with the better download of SteamOS. And I went to the drive selector, which Windows, Microsoft, if you're watching, please update that stupid interface. It's been the same thing for 20 years. And because of that, it's small, it's scrunched. You can't even see all the drives all at once. You have to like scroll. And I guess I just didn't scroll far enough, and I wiped my main drive that I work off of. So my Obsidian Vault, which I hadn't backed up in 2 weeks, my 600 gigs of retro games that I had just finally finished organizing, so I had not had time to back up yet, my 3 decades worth of photos and videos that I had been trying to consolidate and organize. So again, it wasn't fully up to date backups. And then even like another major folder too, my content creation folder, which I had backed up this morning to make room for the retro games. So at least I got all those videos out of there. But I basically had just lost everything all at once. And long story short, I used test disk to recover my data. I just want to make sure I say that right. The other one, PhotoRec, did not do the job well enough, but Test Disk was able to get my stuff off of there. So if you're ever looking for data solutions, that is the one to use first if you can. And yeah, besides that, I have nothing else to share with you all. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below, or go check out the blog post because there's probably going to be different stuff there.